think I ever had a moment of doubt because I never gave myself a chance to think about it.
I love that.
The fact that I don't know why that idea occurred to me in the moment that I'm still going to go traveling. I'm going to go traveling for 2 months with a broken leg on crutches by myself, like backpacking, staying in hostels, like not getting picked up and like shuttled around in a limo, but like.
But you're saying something important, which is you felt something, you knew something deep within, and you just listened to it, versus letting your head get the best of you, which is that might not be the best idea. Welcome to another episode of Everyday Badassery. I'm your host, Christine Lozada, and in this episode, if you're watching with us, we are bumping along the road on a bus on the Mississippi famous blues highways, and I am chatting with, let's let her introduce herself. Who are you?
Who am I? My name's Ketti Wilhelm, and I write a blog called tiltedmap.com, and it's about travel and sustainability.
True to form, this is a traveling podcast, and we are filming this thing in the back of a noisy bus. And if you're watching, you're going to see a bunch of shots from the Mississippi trip that we were on. It was awesome. But this is a podcast meant to inspire you to be just 1% more badass today than you were yesterday. Ketti's story is amazing because it really is a why not and just do it. So let's start somewhere you might not expect. One boot, one shoe. Actually,
what does that mean? One boot, one shoe.
You had one boot and one shoe.
Yes.
Well, I wanted to start it off with boots with the fur, but then I was like, oh, that's plural, and you only had one.
It was summer too. I would have avoided any fur if possible.
Oh, wait, it was summer?
It was summer.
So was your boots sweaty?
Yeah. I went to Sevilla, known as the frying pan of Europe.
Yeah.
On crutches. Like, I didn't even wear a bra the whole week I was there because I was like, this is too much sweat.
I had no idea Sevilla was like that because when I was there in winter. It was cold.
Oh, yeah.
I spent New Year's alone.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Lovely, actually.
Okay, hold on. Where does the story start?
Yeah.
And did you have the boot? You had the boot before you went. You
didn't before I went.
Take care of this while you were there.
No. So I'd been living in China for a year.
Okay.
I started doing capoeira, which is a Brazilian martial art, when I was in China.
Yes, the number one way to ruin a pedicure. Go on.
Yes, that's right. We talked about this. I broke my leg doing capoeira, like 3 days before I was supposed to leave China.
What were you doing in capoeira that made you, which I pronounced it incorrectly, that made you break your leg?
Okay, so it was actually my husband that I was sparring with, the man who is now my husband, who I had met like a month before.
So if you broke your... What happened to him?
I married him. I mean, he's fine. He helped me pack up my apartment in China, and a couple years later we got married. No, so we were on this very soft, like, boxing gym flooring. So he did a takedown called a tesoura, which means scissors, and it's like one leg behind you, one leg in front, and you
sounds sexy.
Flip the person over. It is sexy. When it goes well, it's very sexy. But we're on this squishy floor, and so my foot just kind of stuck on the ground instead of slipping out and letting me fall over backwards. Yeah. I fell over backwards, but my leg stayed under me, and so I broke my fibula in many places.
What was his reaction when it happened?
He looked like he was going to die. He looked like...
He wasn't like
the blood...
Gotcha, bitch!
That would have meant that I wouldn't have married him. No, I've never seen him look like he was actually going to maybe faint, I think.
Wow.
So I went to the hospital. Long story short, we go to the hospital, and they went in China. They wanted to do the surgery that night. Luckily, that didn't work out because I later got better medical advice, which was don't do the surgery right away.
Yes.
Anyway, I'm sitting on a gurney with my friends, my Chinese friends who are translating for what the doctor is saying. And one of my friends goes, "Well, it's going to ruin your summer trip, but at least it makes a good story or something, or at least it'll be okay." And I was like, fuck no, it's not going to ruin my summer trip. I'm still going. And I think it was the delirious pain or painkillers, which they hadn't even given me yet. They sent me home with 2 Lortabs from the hospital with a broken leg. I was like, this is not, you cannot do this. A friend of mine who worked in a hospital in China had to like illegally sneak painkillers from me to get, because they saw my broken leg and they still 2 Lortabs. Anyway. And so I think it was the fact that I was sitting there in the hospital, and for some totally poorly thought out reason, I said, no, I'm still going to go traveling. I didn't even have time to think about it.
So you decided to take the trip.
Yeah.
Did you go, like, where did that start? Where did you travel to? And did you fly there directly from where you were at right then?
Oh my gosh, no. Okay, so made the decision in the hospital bed to actually continue, to actually do the trip.
Yeah.
To not give it up. Somehow I never reconsidered that decision, or I mean, if I did, it was like I had already, you know, said it so firmly that I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do this. I went home to Montana, which is where I'm from, for surgery. I was there for a couple of weeks. My best friend from Mexico was going to meet me in Montana. Was going to meet me in Seattle. We were going to like road trip the whole U.S. and then I was going to fly to Belarus to meet some friends from Belarus. I ended up cutting off half of the Montana part, but my friend from Mexico, or half of the U.S. part, my friend from Mexico met me in Montana. We flew to New York City. I, you know, got the biggest compliment of one of the biggest compliments of my traveling life in the subway. This guy goes, "Are you local?" And I was like, "Nope, I am from Montana, sir." "Oh, okay, I figured you were a New Yorker, because I thought only a New Yorker would ride the subway on crutches." I was like, yes, I've made it.
I love that.
Hobbled around New York for a few days, and then flew over to Belarus and took a bus up through Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, took the ferry to Finland, flew down to Spain, and then went to visit my then boyfriend, the lake breaker in Italy.
Answer this in whatever comes to your mind first.
Yeah.
What was the hardest part about that trip?
Learning to slow down.
Oh, I just got goosebumps. Tell me more.
That was the first time that I realized that you can have just as much fun traveling by just seeing a few things, sitting down.
Check out my goosebumps.
There were afternoons when I sat down in a cafe and I was like, I'm tired. One of my legs is tired. The other leg is swollen and hurts. My arms are exhausted. I keep trying to put different kinds of padding under my armpits because I'm putting on miles and miles on crutches every day, and I'm like raw. I'm tired. I just want to sit, but I still want to feel like I'm traveling. And I would just sit down in a cafe in some plaza and order a tiny beer for like 45 cents in Estonia, and I would just watch people. And I would meet a ton of people too, because when you're traveling and there's something a little bit different about you, people come up and talk to you. And I met so many people on that trip. And I mean, I think that happens anytime that you just slow down when you're traveling.
Yeah.
And you kind of get out of your own way and get out of your own, this is about me, I have to go take an Instagram picture in this location, I have to see every tourist spot on the map. And you just start saying, I'm just gonna experience what's going on.
Yeah, I love that. I used to be the fast traveler that would just sprint through everywhere I went. And one of my favorite things now is to always schedule in time, no matter how busy a trip is. So now I travel way slower, but I always schedule in time to be wanderlust, which is I purposely just get lost. And I spend a lot of time finding fun places to just sit down and people watch. Yeah. And when you quietly observe and also let the world in, you meet amazing people. And that's when, we're always on the hunt for adventure, but that's when adventure truly finds you. It's in those moments of quiet when you're slowing down and you can listen and take it all in.
Exactly.
I love that. I'm curious how long ago was this?
This was 2015.
Have you taken that mindset into, how has that changed you today?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I'm not afraid to travel by myself anymore because anything is easy compared to that.
Wow.
I was living in China at the time, and I'm also not afraid to try to learn a language anymore because any language is easier than Chinese.
Yeah.
Any language is easier than trying to learn Mandarin.
Fair, yes.
Coming from a native English speaker who grew up speaking only English.
Yeah.
So I've learned that I can travel slowly. I don't need to rush to see everything because I'm going to have a great time, even if I just see the corner cafe a lot of times.
Yeah. Hell yeah. And are you a badass?
I think I'm a badass.
Why?
Because you reminded me that I'm a badass.
And now that I've reminded you, why would you tell somebody else you are a badass?
Because I'm trying to change the way people travel. Because I'm trying to change the world and make more sustainable travel possible in any type of trip. That's my goal. That's what I write about now.
Hell yeah.
And every now and then when I talk to a tour guide who says, I noticed, this just happened this morning, I noticed that you brought out your reusable fork last night when we were at the restaurant with all the disposable plastic forks. I was really impressed by that, and I'm going to talk to the restaurant and I'm going to try to work on some of this stuff, because that is like, that's what makes it worth it to me. And I get comments from readers all the time who say, like, I had never considered taking the ferry instead of flying between these Greek islands, but now that you've explained how easy it is and you've explained the difference that it makes and the climate benefit of doing that, now I'm going to look into it for the first time. And I think it's really easy to get caught up in thinking that the world's too big to change and, I'm just one person, and it's not true.
It's not true.
It's not true.
It's not true.
Because there are so many other people doing the same thing, and there are so many other people looking for ways to do better, and you don't have to be perfect. I think that's also the most badass thing, is to realize that you don't have to be perfect to make a difference. You have to make a small improvement in what you can control.
There's so many gems in this. Yes. I think you can see why I was so excited to bring Ketti onto this podcast. Such a badass. If you found some value in this, make sure you cheers that like button or leave a comment or review below. It really does help to distribute this to more people. And journal along with us. Download the free Badassery journal. Link in the description below for more on that. Make use of what you heard today. You know where to find us. Info in the description. But here's where you find Ketti.
So Instagram is my main social profile.
Right.
At Tilted Map. I'm also on Facebook. But I mean, I try to share. I try to get people involved on Instagram, and I try to have a conversation about ways to travel more sustainably.
Yeah.
And then I really dive deep into like tactical things and tips and destinations where there's something unique that makes it. This destination you're going to have a lower impact if you take your vacation on this island versus this island. So I go into a lot more detail and stuff like that on my blog.
That. Can you say, I am a badass for yourself in Chinese?
Oh, well, sure, badass. I have no idea how to say badass in Chinese.
I know, I was like, I don't think there's going to be a word for that.